So we have been meeting with clients and potential clients, I should say, because this is at the consultation level. We've been doing this above ground since 2020. As before that, we were just helping people out just to help them. The reason why it's important to go above ground is because you can keep track of all the data. You can see how these consultations usually start. You can track the journeys in general. One of the things that, we just continue to see, right, is how many people just truly don't understand the value of campaigning. How many small business owners, how many creators, how many industry professionals, leaders in entertainment and media, how many of them don't understand the power of campaigning, or even just thinking that when you say the word campaign that it's all about politics, it's all about who's running for president or governor or whatever. It's so much deeper than that, and it's so beneficial to you, I believe, if you start to think about the initiatives, the projects, the things that you're doing, if you start to think about them through the lens of campaigning. What I want to do today is completely rewire your thinking when it comes to campaigning and kind of open up your mind to a new way to approach your projects. So, with our group, the citizens, this is what we have been training our clients on. This is it right here. This is pretty much the meat and potatoes of what we do, and we do it well. And it's just helping people to understand the idea of campaigning. My hypothesis for today, 2 hypothesis statements. The first one is creators and brand leaders have gotten used to spitballing, because of the current state of the industry. What is the current state of the creator space right now? Everything is about volume. At least it feels like it. I won't say that that's an absolute. It just feels like that. Everything is about how much you can do and how quick you can do it. So you got a lot of people cutting corners, not on the actual production side of it, but cutting corners on just putting things together in general, just ideas in general, spitballing, just throwing stuff together, throwing stuff on the wall and seeing what sticks, The other end of that hypothesis, or it kind of feels like another hypothesis statement, but it may just be one big run-on sentence, is that leaders have sacrificed intention for speed. People just doing whatever just to do it. We're all guilty of it, I mean, you probably can look at some of the stuff that I've done personally and be like, well, you kind of struggle with the same thing. Yeah, I do. The irony of it is that when we have these consultations, that's usually one of the first things I say is that, this is a journey that I'm on as well. This is a journey that we're on together, but it's tough. Like, we don't have to quote unquote numb the environment. I don't think that that's even possible. I think that it is what it is. But I do think that we have to look around at the environment and choose to commit to intention instead of speed, and finding that middle ground between the two. So when we look at the idea of campaigning, I don't want you to look at it in the idea of who's running for president, who's running for governor, or whatever. That word is so much more powerful than that. That word is synonymous with intention, in my opinion. It's synonymous with planning, in my opinion. Strategic planning. It's the difference between, spending days, months sometimes, laboring on a project and then just dropping it, as opposed to spending months on that project and then also spending at least a month putting together a campaign to make sure when you put that project out, you're putting it out in the most delicate way possible, in the most intentional way possible. Being intentional about the gold of your project, not treating it like it's just dust. Commons Library says campaigns are a sustained effort towards a specific outcome. Campaigns are a powerful way of strategically building group capacity and developing experience. So, in other words, campaigns are planning. That's it. That's all it is, I love the word sustained in this definition because that's one of the superpowers of actually campaigning. So let's double back to the project that you've been working on that we were just talking about. Of course, when you finish the project, when you just finish the project, you're excited about sharing it, So say you finish it on a Friday, you may work on it Saturday, Sunday, and Monday in terms of trying to get the word out. But if things don't go your way those first couple of days, Tuesday, Wednesday, and beyond, it's a little bit tougher to get out of bed, a little bit tougher to be excited about what you've done and sharing the word. And as delicate as you may have been about the production side of it, you may fall short when it comes to the promotion side of it. Campaigns, in my opinion, answer that call because it gives you a set of goals to hit along the way, just to guarantee a quote sustained effort towards a specific outcome. I also love how it mentions that how it builds basically group initiative, because now for me, the toughest part for me always is the team aspect of it. Understanding that, you're going to have to get some help along the way. You can't do everything, But building these campaigns allows me to see what's needed, because that's what I struggle with when it comes to leadership. Just being transparent with you. That's what I struggle with, knowing what's needed, putting people into place, and getting it done. But with these campaigns that, we do, even for myself, I'm able to say, okay, I know I need a photographer for this specific goal, specific thing. I know I need a videographer for this specific thing. And I know that I need to take the products of those two and put them together, and make the sandwich. Even beyond me, forget me, when we introduce the idea of campaigning to these clients, that's one of the first points of relief that we can kind of see. Just them being able to look on these 10-page campaigns, 15-page campaigns, and just say, okay, now I know I need to make sure that I put a videographer in place, a photographer in place, somebody to master music, or I need to get another supplier or whatever. Depends on whatever this person does or this brand does. They're just able to see everything kind of laid out for them. It's literally like the difference between just reaching your refrigerator and just grabbing whatever and just making a meal out of it, as opposed to laying out all of your ingredients or knowing what's needed and, being strategic about putting your meal together. I'm a little hungry, so that's kind of why I threw that out there. That's what I mean when I say that campaigning is so much deeper than the political side of things. And I think that, so how we look at politics, I think kind of stains the word campaign, if that makes sense. On the political side, we tend to feel it's a little untrustworthy. These politicians adhere to these campaigns. They say the same slogan 1,000 times, always taking the stage, doing the same things, interviews saying the same things. Not only does it become mundane, but after a while, it's like, well, I don't necessarily believe you. I would say 65, maybe. No, we'll up it. I'll give way more credit for that. 80% of people see that and say, okay, they're on a campaign. So you just kind of associate the two. It's not that. It's just strategically planning out your goals. Another word that we throw around and I shouldn't say throw around. Another word that we use a lot with clients is intention. It's just you being intentional about reaching a goal. And that's it. And I love that too, because it's about reaching a goal, clearing it out, check mark. Let's do another campaign. Let's set another goal. And it's interesting because we just don't realize it, or maybe, a lot of these clients haven't realized it. This is what's happening around them. So a lot of the consultations that we'll do, or a lot of the sessions that we'll have with our clients, we're monitoring a lot of the environment. We're looking at a lot of we use this word loosely, but a lot of their competition. We ask a lot of them to just, to choose brands to quote unquote look up to. I think that's great for everybody. And when we really dive into what those brands are doing, the ones that they're looking up to, it's really broken down into campaigns. Like, let's say you're selling something and a brand that you look up to is Coca-Cola, how they sell things. And then you realize, man, they're they really ramp it up during Christmas. You know, Christmas is kind of synonymous with Coca-Cola when it comes to soda and drinks and all of that. And it's true. And they have developed a campaign to own Christmas, basically. That's their thing. They probably start talking. I mean, I'm not in those rooms. I would love to be, though. Hopefully, could be a client one day. But I'm not in those rooms. I'm pretty sure they start having those conversations in the summer at the latest about what campaign are we going to put together to own Christmas. Think about Nike. You know, I think about Wemby in the NBA. How much of a freak of nature everybody who I'm into sports, and everybody in the sports world was just loving the potential that Wemby had because he's just such a freakish athlete. And Nike swooped him up super quick, bro, super quick. And they were also quick to premiere his new brand, developing this campaign. And this campaign is based on what? Being an alien. His logo is very alien-esque, you know. That's campaigning. They're going to be campaigning all of this to us along the way. It's just really interesting. And that's kind of how I see the world around us, is just through the lens of campaigns, because that's how these brands are winning. And more importantly, that's how you're going to win. That's how you can do it. Like, if you just step out of the space of, I'm just going to release stuff, and step into the realm of, I'm going to release it as if I care about it so much that I'm going to plan the release around it. I'm going to develop a campaign around the release itself. You're going to do the same things that Coca-Cola is doing, that Nike is doing, that your favorite artists are doing, that your favorite record labels are doing. It's all about campaigning. Get out of the space of thinking that campaigning is just for political candidates, and understand that all of your favorite brands that you look up to are surviving because they're campaigning. Okay? Brands that campaign survive. Brands that thrive campaign. It's literally all it's about. So let me leave you with these 3 tips. Number 1, campaigns allow you to lead with the mission and vision statements. Now, when we think of M&V, we think typically of, putting those markers up for the business in and of itself. Maybe you're working on a new business plan for a new venture. You start with the M&V, obviously. Well, you don't start with it, but it's one of those first things that you do. We tell our clients to M&V for your projects, not just for the brand itself, but for your projects. Try that. Just try it. If you're working on a new book, what's your mission with releasing the book? You don't have to M&V to write the book, because I truly believe that in order to really be successful in the media and entertainment space, you got to toe that line of like too much planning, and just enough, because you got to leave that space to be creative. You got to breathe. So I don't think that you got to M&V to write, but I do think you have to M&V to release, because what's your mission with releasing whatever you're releasing? What do you envision with releasing whatever you're releasing? Use that to develop an overall campaign around the project in general. So let's say you've been working on that book. Let's say it's a sci-fi, piece, whatever. And your mission is to, reach sci-fi readers under the age of 35. And your vision is to create a universe of sci-fi readers under the age of 35 who are in love with the planet Jupiter. I don't know. I don't know. Believe it or not, that would work. That would work if the book obviously was about the planet Jupiter. That would work. Because the interesting thing about that, and this is why I love campaigns. All right. So the interesting thing about that, right? Let's just say that outlandish idea is true. Because of the campaign, you're going to be committed to understanding the planet Jupiter, better than anybody else. You're going to be committed to understanding readers under the age of 35 better than anybody else. And you'll be committed to understanding the sci-fi genre better than anybody else. You should be. But that's what campaigning does. It breaks it down to, what do I need? And then you answer the question, how do I get it? You see what I'm saying? That's the power of campaigning. That's the power of M&V in general, mission and vision statements. But that's the power of putting the M&V on your actual project instead of just your brand. So just something to think about. The second tip that we like to give to our clients is to break down your initiatives in a 10-month campaign with intentional goals. 10 months is typically, most clients ask for a 10-month campaign. I just think maybe it's just good for, it's just the perfect length for people in terms of putting out specific projects. I don't know. But that's what people ask for. I tend to like 24-month campaigns just because, it just covers so much space. So I like those bigger projects, but just try to break down whatever you're doing into a 10-month initiative, So let's double back to that book, that project, that sci-fi book. You would lay it out to say, maybe you want to release within month 7 and you want to spend the first 7 months of this campaign kind of talking about the book, trying to reach those readers under 35, trying to find those sci-fi readers under 35, I should say. Sharing not what you know about Jupiter, not just what you know about Jupiter, but how you're getting this information, sharing the actual process of learning about the planet Jupiter. This example just took us to a whole nother planet, pun very much intended, but, and then, you release, after month 7, and then after that, you spend the last 3 months just keeping up with the back end promo of it and doing all you can to create a community of everybody who has gotten this book. Then you would do another campaign, another maybe 10-month campaign about just really dedicated to more of that back end promo and bringing all of those readers together. And then maybe you'll do another campaign about another book. You see what I'm saying? It's just, instead of just saying I'm going to release in July, I'm just going to release, this is something I used to do back in the day. I used to write a book and just drop it randomly, It might work for Beyonce, it might work for Kendrick. That's not typical, okay? And it doesn't hurt the plan. That's all I'm saying. Just think about some of the projects that you're doing. Maybe just pick one, okay? If you just want to try it out, just pick one and see how it feels to think about it on a 10-month, in a 10-month campaign form. So, and lastly, campaigns, organize research, find the methods that work best for you, and keep track of it. So that's probably the most underrated superpower of campaigning in general, is the research that it provides. We have a client that we've been working with that is in music in this area, in the DC area. And because of that, we have learned a lot about music in the DC area. So that as we add more clients that are also into music in this area, we already come to the table with so much data, so much knowledge on how to build a career in this area and how this area can help your career. I should say it like that. The key to that is finding out what research methods work for you. It's 2025. Kind of feels like 2026 already, but it's 2025, and you can use Twitter as a research piece. I'm sure Elon Musk will love to hear that if he heard that, but that's literally how social media has grown to where you can survey on all of these outlets. You can survey on Instagram. Just post on your Instagram story and get some data, And the key to doing something like that is just making sure that you're honest about the data set in general, Just understanding that it is a very concentrated data set. But find what research tool works best for you and use that to kind of add to your campaign. That way, doubling back to this daggone sci-fi book about Jupiter, That way you can find out everything you need to know about those readers under 35, those sci-fi readers under 35. That way you can find out everything you need to know about Jupiter. And then you can figure out how you can make sure that you get your book in those hands. Okay, now it's just an example. Obviously, think about that on a bigger scale, because maybe you're not working on a book about Jupiter. Maybe you're building a clothing line. Same thing applies. Just think about it in the realms of a campaign. That's all I'm saying. Good luck to you. Of course, if you like any of what you heard today, you can subscribe for more. We say it all the time, and I'm going to say it right now, and it may sound a little bit corny, but our clients are used to it. It's okay. But your success is literally a campaign away. That's how we view things. Anything is possible. Yeah, I mean, absolutely anything is possible if you're intentional about it. You know, it's very powerful ideal, very powerful thought to have. Obviously, you'll use those powers wisely, right? But just know the power that you truly have when you are intentional, and just how powerful it can be to campaign your way to success. That's all.